We have some breaking news, and Sixers fans are going to love this one. Justin Edwards signing a new 3-year contract with the 76ers. He is here to stay for the long term. The former UDFA, who had a tremendous rookie season for Philadelphia, now gets rewarded on a new 3-year deal. We'll dive into all of this, plus in the back end, a little bit on Andre Drummond. But first, guys, this is why you subscribe to the channel. Anytime the Sixers make a move, we make a video. And with free agency coming up on Monday, there's going to be plenty more moves to be made. So make sure you're subscribed. We just surpassed 22,600 subscribers. Can we get to 23K? Lock us in. Hit that sub button for daily 76ers news, rumors, and a whole lot more. Shams Charania breaking the news here on Friday, June 27th. The Sixers intend to sign forward Justin Edwards to a new 3-year contract after declining his team option, sources tell ESPN. 76ers and Klutch Sports' Rich Paul and Josh Hairston negotiated the new deal for Edwards, who averaged 10.1 points and 26 minutes last season. Then further from Shams with some contract details, Edwards will receive 2 guaranteed years on the new deal, so probably a player or team option on that 3rd year. He earns $2 million next season after the Sixers declined his $1.9 million option. Edwards emerged as an upside rotation player last season, shooting 45.5% from the field and 36.3% from 3. Just great to see how far Justin Edwards has already come in just one season in the NBA. Of course, he's a Philadelphia guy, went to Imhotep Charter High School in Philly, 5-star recruit, top 3 recruit in his class, goes to Kentucky, and a little bit of a disappointing freshman season. In fact, a very disappointing freshman season because he ends up going undrafted after being a one and done. But Daryl Morey always has that eye for talent, picks up Justin Edwards as an undrafted free agent, brings him in, and didn't play a whole lot to start the year, but really in the back half of the season, once the Sixers and these injuries really started to pile up, he played a bunch of minutes, and Edwards was fantastic. Read out some of his numbers earlier, but look, playing 26 minutes a game, over 10 points, 45 from the field, 36 from 3 as a UDFA, playing in the situation where there's guys in and out of the lineup all the time. He never really knows what his role is going to be from one night to the next. One night, he's just a role player, playing next to Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid, Paul George, not asked to do all that much. The next night, he might be one of the more talented guys out there on the floor with everybody else injured. But no matter what the situation was around him throughout the entire year, he really managed it beautifully while progressing throughout that entire season. A lot of times you see rookies hit this rookie wall, right? Where at the back half of the year, once they get into game 60, 70, where they're not playing nearly as many games in college, they can slow down a little bit. And you can start to see why, these players went where they did. But Edwards really impressed throughout the season. And with his height at 6'7", he's got a lot of length. He showed a lot more skills than I even thought he had with the ball in his hands, creating his own shot, really attacking the basket is where he most impressed me on offense. But his jump shot was also much better than advertised really the entire season. And then defensively, of course, is also where he truly does stand out. With that size along that wing, we know how important wing defenders are in the NBA. The Sixers don't really have a lot of them, right? Kelly Oubre, solid. Paul George, not what he used to be. But Edwards, really emerging in that area as a two-way force. And again, just 1 year in the league now, still very young. And so I love getting him locked up now on this deal. Of course, Sixers signed him to a 2-way coming off of the NBA draft last year, then gave him a full standard NBA contract this past season, had a team option for next year, but they're now rewarding him with this full 3-year deal, a commitment. Makes a lot of sense, right, from the Sixers' perspective. A guy that showed you a lot when given that opportunity, and that's why towards that back half of the year, yeah, things were rough for Philadelphia, but it was an opportunity for a lot of these guys to show what they can do when given more on their plate. Someone like Justin Edwards may not have gotten this kind of opportunity, especially under a coach like Nick Nurse, if some of these injuries, frankly, just didn't happen. So I'm so happy for him that he was able to take advantage again in his hometown. He plays hard. He has that chip on his shoulder, of course, because he was a 5-star and then went undrafted. Never before as a top 3 recruit gone undrafted, right? So really showed that mentality that it takes to play in Philadelphia. And I think he should be a mainstay in this rotation for years to come. The question is, will he be a starter? Will he come off the bench, play significant minutes, regardless of what his role ends up being this year and beyond? He's going to play an important one for Philadelphia, and they lock him up for at least the next 3 seasons. What say you? Should Justin Edwards start this season? We'll see what happens with Kelly Oubre. Does he come back? Of course, you got Paul George in there along the wing. But do you think Edwards showed enough already to be a starter? If you think so, give me an S for a start. Or if you think his best role should still be coming off the bench for this team, give me a B for bench. We should be able to see him play in Summer League as well, starting up pretty soon. He did say he plans to play in the Salt Lake City and the Las Vegas Summer Leagues. Some more notes to get to for the 76ers. This piece of news also dropping this morning. Andre Drummond, according to Michael Scotto, exercising his $5 million player option for the 2025-26 season. Drummond, an All-NBA selection in 2016, 2-time All-Star, 4-time rebounding champion, but clearly past his prime at this point. It was very expected. He was going to pick up his option. I don't think another team was going to give him more than $5 million. But I do expect Drummond to still be moved by the Sixers. And that's what I would do. That's what I think they'll be planning to do here. They don't need this $5 million contract on the roster for what Andre Drummond was last season, which, look, I understand he was injured for a majority of the year. He suffered this weird toe injury very early on in the season and never seemed to be able to bounce back from it, right? It was very strange, kind of lingered all year. He was in and out and in and out and in and out. But even when he was on the floor, wasn't the same player he was his first time around in Philadelphia back a few years ago. Still, can rebound the basketball at a high level. That's what he does. But I thought defensively, honestly, pretty poor effort on that side of the floor for a large part of the season. And, we're never really going to give you a whole lot offensively outside of grabbing offensive rebounds. But even, in that aspect of things, I thought was not quite the same player he used to be. He's getting older. And Daryl Morey had said and mentioned that he wants to get younger and get more athletic across the roster. They obviously have Adam Bona in there at that center spot. Center depth is so important for the Sixers team with Joel Embiid and his injury history. But they draft Janai Broome in the second round. I imagine he's going to play some 4 and some 5. And then I would honestly go out in free agency and try to find a different backup center option than Drummond. Let him go somewhere else. Or maybe you can trade him, get some assets. What say you? But for right now, he will be back with that $5 million player option. Who knows? Maybe he can play better than he did last season if he does stick around. I doubt it, though. I do expect him to be on the move and not on this roster next season. Now, a player who, unfortunately, will not be on the roster next season, at least as of right now, is Jared Butler. Of course, the Sixers traded for Jared Butler at the trade deadline in the Reggie Jackson deal. And I thought Jared Butler played pretty well, all things considered, for Philadelphia when he comes over from Washington. Ends up getting a lot more minutes than initially anticipated, again, because of all the injuries. Still a young player. I thought showed some pretty decent skills at that point guard position, running the offense, knocking down some open shots. Like, you're not asking him to be a starting point guard for your team, but I thought as a depth piece, as that 5th guard on your roster, he would have been a solid addition to have, especially because he's cheap. His team option was only $2.3 million, and the Sixers are very cash-strapped, right? They won't have a lot of money to spend bringing in talented players. So, to me, why not just exercise that $2.3 million option and keep him around for one more season? To me, kind of seems like this means Kyle Lowry is almost guaranteed to be back as this team's depth point guard next season, and I'm not so sure I love that idea. Kyle Lowry, to me, should just be a coach at this point in his career, but declining Jared Butler, maybe they bring him back on a different type of deal, but I would have loved to see him return to Philadelphia. Doesn't seem like he will be. Hopefully he finds some success somewhere else. All right, that'll do it for today's show. Justin Edwards getting that deal, getting that bag. Just a great story. Gotta love it for him. As I mentioned, free agency gets underway 6 p.m. Eastern on Monday, June 30th. There's going to be a lot of moves happening with Philadelphia, whether they make a couple signings, maybe they make a trade. Whatever they do, we have you covered here on the show. So hit that sub button and be sure to join us. We'll be live for free agency on Monday.